Good. We're just nice, nice, nice. Okay, so we'll see on the back end. It will be confirmed. Let's go, guys at YouTube. Okay, well, yeah, there we go. There we go. Nice. So back end is okay, and then we'll go to the front end, and we'll just double check here. Yeah, nice. So there we go. There we go. We're good. Okay, so now we're up on YouTube. I can remove that, and I can bring, what I'll do is put, of course, the notes go over here. The space station is going to come behind me, right? Yeah. And then over there is going to go HDMI, which is where sign is. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that's what's happening, and that's good. So we're just about fully connected, which is amazing. What about, yeah, there we go. So we've removed that. Come on in, Jake. And I still have the live stream up there, so I know that everything's good there. And so let's see what we're doing. Right. I know what I was going to do that's different. I had the PowerPoint. So instead of that, I'm going to run the PowerPoint. That's right. That's right. And then I'm going to run it from there. Excellent. 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 Oh, look, we're over Ontario. I keep forgetting at this time. The space station's literally flying over Ontario right now. There you go. It's a live view. Wow. Well, we're about to get fully launched, and we are blessed. Let's just do one final little check and see. Great. We have the microphones there. We can get to those in a moment. And Yukta, are you able to get on a microphone and engage here? Or if not, that's all right. We'll just do live chat. I'm not sure our speakers are working. Can you unmute your microphone, Yukta, and let's try this? Or are
Hello.
you able? Hi. Ooh.
Yeah, it's working.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, it's working. Thank you. Good. So we have a connection. We're almost ready. It's all working. Hi, Barack. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Oh, great. You've got your audio too. So, okay, we're just about ready. Excellent. Over there, we've got things up here. I'm going to run the PowerPoint from it. And I think what I'll do is I'll let it go. I'll do it the other way around, because that's how I'm going to deliver it. So I'm going to bring back into the central panel, I'm going to bring HDMI. And then over here, I'm going to go Rack PC. Good, 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 good. So now we're over Quebec. Now we have our presentation. There's a little bit, we got that problem there, but that will be helpful. And, oh, just, gentlemen, could you come in so they can see you? That's the self view here that they're seeing. So as long as they can see you somewhere in there, then you're in the class. Okay, thanks. That's all. Yeah. You're not in the class unless you can be seen on camera. That's the 21st century for you. Okay, we're just about ready to blast off. And this board is not looking too bad. And we can even do our activity around the other boards. We have that, which is good. And let me just see what's happening over here with this. I'm just making sure that things are working. Yep. So for those of you in the Cosmos, I'm just walking around the room right now, checking to see that the other pods are working. Students are coming into the inner circle, as you can see, and that's working. I have a self view there. Is that not working? Okay. Let's go. Hello, dumb machine. Nope, dumb machine doesn't want to work, but smart machine is working. I can get the self view over there. Hello, come on in. And We are just about ready to take off. So um, let's make sure, as long as, can you just make sure that you can, Lorelei and, is it Rachel? Raylan, sorry. Yeah, just make sure you can be seen in there somehow. You can either sit here and then we've got our class. Uh, good. Actually, can you come in a little more? Because we can't see. Yeah, could you? Thanks a lot. That way the cosmos can see you, and then we're good. Uh, over here. Okay. Uh, good. Would it be possible for you guys to come in here? All right. Here. No? Would you? Thanks. That way, just one here, just so we can, not that way. Excellent. Thank you. And we've got exactly what we need. And I'll show you on YouTube. Let me just go over there for a second, and you can see. Uh, so that's 10 seconds ago. Let me just go to the live YouTube. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm trying to fill up the frame so people know there's a class. Good with students. Okay. All right. So let me come back to Victoria. Let's put the map up here. Oh, not the map. That's right. We want the PowerPoint. That's it. Very good. Okay. One final little thing. Little water. Come on in. And I think, and I'm going to do this a bit on the fly, but microphones are here for all of you. Pens are here. So I'll bring my book over here. And then I'm fully set up. Great. Welcome, everyone, officially to the launch of our 5th class of the semester in Humanities Destiny. And of course, you know me, I'm Lon Appleby, your professor, and I'm without Maureen, our global classroom coordinator today, who's usually on the podium. So here's something I could do, but I won't do it. I could just point and say, could you come up and be the DJ today at the podium? And you'd have to learn really fast, but I'm not going to do that. But I do need a DJ today. Anyways, I think I've got things under control myself. And so we can actually have a real class, which means that first, as in any real class, we need a topic. So today's topic is sustaining it, or sustainability, or the idea of all of these big new things that are coming in this world of yours and mine and the future. Can we actually sustain this thing called human progress, or not? Or maybe a little bit of progress, but a little bit not. One step forwards, 2 steps backwards, 2 step forwards, 1 step backwards, 3 steps forwards. We don't know because we have an issue on planet Earth. So we're going to take a close look at sustainability, and I'm going to show you some data today that I think will help you to understand something about what's going on with this thing called human progress. And I have not had a chance to tee up some of the reflections and discussion posts that have been done, but I have to say I'm seeing more of an embarrassment of riches this semester, which is good stuff. I'm seeing a lot of good reflections, and I'm getting my marking done on time for the first time in, I think, about 15 years of teaching here. And so you should all be getting your discussion post marks back. Sometimes I'm literally bouncing them back to you. I'm at home and I'm working and I see it come through, and within 30 minutes, I bounce back your mark. So I'm really trying to stay on top of that because I have 221 students in this room this semester. So I've got to be fast with the marking. Everybody, half this class has their marks back for their first reflection, and another half doesn't. So they're coming. The marks for your reflections you can expect that they will be done within 2 weeks maximum through the semester. And so there's that. And I just want to make sure we're clear on what else is coming before we see who's on board. You have a second assignment or reflection coming on February the 18th, Tuesday, February the 18th. So get ready for that. And look at the cosmos. The cosmos is really filling up. We've got a big solar system today. So we'll check in momentarily with all of you. But let me just see if we're where we're supposed to be. And yeah, I think I'll bring this just a second. Just sort of trying to get myself a little organized here. Without Maureen. Okay, so let's see who's on board, and then we'll check in and see if there's any questions. And then I'm going to do a little lecture on sustaining it, and then you're going to get back to the pods today and do some more thinking through the big questions together. And so we have Beirut in person, live with us here in flesh and blood in 3 dimensions. We have Beirut, Luke, Ismail, Nicholas, Kwame, great. Andrew, of course, Jake. Hi, Jake. Utsav. If I pronounce it incorrectly, let me know. Utsav? Yeah, great. Okay. Adeyeo. Is that correct? Is that pronounced correctly? Adeyeo? Nice. I love these names. Some of them are so musical. Lorelei, right? Yeah. Lorelei. Okay, Lorelei. But it's pronounced, yeah, right. Okay, Lorelei. Good. And of course, Raylan and Kurt. Okay, Kurt, Raylan, Lorelei. And here comes another student, Giovanni. Don't forget, by the end of the class, put your name on the board. Excellent. So we have a good group in person, and I'm really always happy to see that. And then in the cosmos, we have Burak, we have Yukta, we have Alina, Corson, Edith, Sean, and some others there. I'm just going to go over here momentarily and just bring this back so you can see the lineup for today. And we are looking pretty good in terms of tech working and not messing with my head, because for many years I've been on these 2 tracks where I come in and I'm trying to do tech and content, and I've done it, but finally I got Maureen to help. It was just too much. I wanted to focus on content, but Maureen's not available today. I hope she'll be back with us next week. So I'm doing both today, but I had time before today's class to get things set up. So forgive me if there's a little bit of tech not working, but I think we're good. Everything is there. So before we do a little bit of reviewing and I give a little bit of feedback, is there anything anybody would like to bring to the class's attention? Say anything about anything that they feel is important, they want to say. You're always welcome to it. You don't have to. I just want to make sure that I check in with all of you and see if there's something about your future or our future that you're thinking about today that you might be excited about, worried about, interested in. Right. Well, I can tell you one thing about our future that's sort of interesting, is that when we talk about how we should be dealing with Canadian-American relations right now, which came up in our histories lessons class, and we talked at some length about it. I suspect that there's some of you wondering, well, how do you, just a second, this is causing problems again. It was fine this morning. Hold on. It was good this morning. Okay, workaround time. The hell with you, you stupid piece of. See if holding check now, and it should. Hello, online, Kishan, Alina, can you hear me clearly? Let's see what happens in the light. Yeah, good. Okay, so workaround. We have our workaround. Technology is not so stupid, is it? It's just a human creation, and like everything done by humans, it's prone to mistakes and breaking down. Okay, so I wanted to just say to you that if you're wondering in this economic war that we've fallen into with the US administration, how do you go to the store and figure out whether it's American or Canadian? Probably you've been hearing people say, buy Canadian. And they're right. Let's just go to war with the US. We're ready. We we pushed them back 200 years ago. Well, here's the thing. You look at a Pepsi. Jake's got Pepsi over there. Well, yeah. Well, let's say you go to and you gotta have Pepsi or Coke. Like I was on the subway this morning and I saw a young woman having her breakfast. It was it was Pepsi. That's her breakfast. I could tell, that's how she's getting her caffeine. Well, actually, you could say, I'm not going to buy any more Coke or Pepsi because it's a US company. But you can't really say that because that was made here. And if you stop buying the Pepsi, there are all sorts of Canadian. Andrew's got it, right? And I think probably he knows because you're in supply chains, aren't you? Yeah, so you know about. So it's really interesting dilemma that we're in. Our two economies are so integrated. Huh? Yeah, made. But Pepsi is not a Canadian company in terms of its corporate brand. It's the Canadian branch, and if you don't want to buy American stuff, but the Canadians are making it, then I guess you have to buy that American thing because you don't want to put Canadians out of work. So let's not talk politics too much, and we won't mention um, the the name of this president. I know that he's bragging a lot right now in the United States about how he's kicking everybody's butt and making everybody do things. You know what the long-term meaning of this is? Talk about humanity's destiny. Don't be fooled. If any of you are watching this and thinking, boy, does he get things done? Everybody's standing and reacting to him. Short term, maybe. Long term, you know what is terrifying? The news is filled with him sitting in his desk night after night after night. This is the United States of America. This is the great republic, democracy. And what we're seeing is one man with all the media around his desk and a pen. And he's just signing executive order after executive order as if the United States has become the Trump organization. That's scary because that means that there's not much democracy. It's just an emperor giving his orders and the rest of the world reacts. The long-term damage, in my estimation, to the US is that we are seeing a degradation of the republic that they're going to have to answer for 15, 20 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now. What happened to making decisions together? What happened to the Congress? What happened to the senators and the House of Representatives? And I mean, would you want our prime minister night after night to be sitting there, the media come and he's just issuing orders? Do this, do this, do this. You would. Well, wouldn't you find that kind of depressing about our democracy? I just want you to think about the idea that maybe we have to worry about the state of freedom and democracy in the world. That's all. If the largest democracy has resorted to just one man night after night issuing orders and everybody has to react. So we got to talk about good things. But does anyone want to say anything before I make you even more worried about our future? But I'm going to do this in a way that will make you feel like a bit inspired, even though we're going to talk about things that are difficult. We'll let that. The tech is not working, but that's that tech. Oh, Kashan, are you there? On
Yeah,
your,
can you hear
is that a
can
hand?
you can you hear
Would you
me?
like to say something? No.
Can you hear me?
Okay, good. So um, I'm going to deliver shortly a little lecture, and then I'm going to get you guys up. Um, but I'm almost thinking of flipping it because I'm concerned that maybe everybody is really tired right now. It's 2:30, and I just want to check in and see how everyone's brains are doing. Are you ready
Hello?
for me to give a little lecture on sustaining it, or would you rather go straight to the activity and I'll flip this classroom all around and I'll give you the lecture later? What would you like to do? Jake? It's okay? Short, little lecture, okay? A little bit, but if you have any questions, we'll get you the microphone, okay? And we'll have a conversation about it. Great.
Hello?
Okay. And then
Hello?
Orange Man Rises. You got it. The sun tanning or
Hello?
machines are doing a booming business keeping Donald Trump orange and, the whatever. I'm not going to go on about this. The hair. Where did he buy that hair? He bought it off the shelf at Costco, and he just put it on his head at night or in the morning and says, "Here's my hair." What's that? It's not fair. No, I'm not going to go on. When I see freedom and democracy threatened and crimes being committed and nobody cares and people just say he's a man of his word when in fact it's very much the opposite. 5 bankruptcies, got to power by maintaining a lie. A lot of people believed it. The criminality is just nauseating. I just feel like I got to say something about the state of freedom. But, well, anyways. Okay. I want to talk about this idea of progress and the idea that we're living at a time when some are wondering if we can really sustain all of the growth that is called progress. And the person I'm going to be referring to from time to time is Ronald Wright. He's the author of a book called Short History of Progress. He also gave a series of lectures, the Massey lectures, radio lectures on CBC that have received a lot of attention. He is a scholar and a giant and has thought a lot about this idea of progress. And he calls human civilization a great experiment on planet Earth. I'm not going to talk too much about history today. As you know, I teach short history of the world, but I do need to make reference to it from time to time in terms of this bigger view of history, which is not Canadian history, American history, or European or whatever, but human history on planet Earth. And this idea of human civilization, which is very, very new on the planet. It's only 10,000 years old. From the standpoint of planet-wide history, that's very, very new. From the standpoint of history that you might be used to, that might sound like a lot of time. It's not. And his view is that when we started to civilize ourselves 10,000 years ago or so, after the last ice age ended and rivers opened up and we started to build cities around rivers and empires, he calls it a great experiment. And he thinks that this experiment is in need of some perhaps revision right now. We have some issues around where we're going. I want to just say when it comes to sustaining it, that there are people that I will be referring to as well, in addition to Ronald Wright, Americans, Americans who represent maybe the best of the United States. And one of them is Rachel Carson, who wrote a book called Silent Spring in the 1960s. Have any of you ever heard of Rachel Carson? She's often, Beirut? Excellent. She's often thought of as sort of the the originator, pioneer of the environmental movement, for her writing that she did in the early 1960s. And her book, Silent Spring, was groundbreaking at the time. And Silent Spring means that there's no birds chirping. Imagine a spring where there are no birds and no sounds. It would be a silent spring, which is, we don't want that. And so Ronald Wright and Rachel Carson are two people that are very important in this. And I just want to say something else before I show you some data. It's my belief that when I talk about something that's kind of difficult and that might seem overwhelming, I conversely believe that it's inspiring, because when you can talk about something that's really difficult, even if the data is hard to handle, you've talked about it and you've started to understand it. And once you do that, you can begin to fix it, whatever the problem is. But if you can't talk and you can't really explain, it just sits in your head and everybody gets more afraid. And, people put in this place of that conspiracy theories, and people make things up because they don't know what's really going on. And if you think about it in terms of your own life, when you have a problem and it's really eating away at you, you usually feel better when you talk it to somebody, you start writing about it, or you get it out of your head. So I'm going to be showing you some things, some data in a moment that is quite troubling. And you may have heard about this before, but I'm going to be showing you some real science today, some very good information, not pseudo stuff, not stuff that, you know, somebody has told you, or your friend has sent you via social media, but rigorous thinking done by some very important scientists. And I'm going to be referring to a report that was done at the end of the 20th century, the beginning of our century. And it's called the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment Report. Millennium Ecosystem Assessment Report, often as Millennium Ecosystem, ME, Millennium Ecosystem, MEAS, or Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, MEAR, or MEA. It's usually referred to as MEA, Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. As you know, you're living at a time which is not only filled with so many challenges, but numerically, we've entered a new millennium. It's the third millennium. It's the 2000s. And most of you were born after that, but some of us, just me probably, were born before, and we've passed through this millennial change. But a lot of you are millennials. In a sense, you're part of this millennial. You're growing up during the time of this new millennium, the first 20 years of this new millennium. And so the time frame that these scientists, there were about 800 of them from around the world through the 1990s, they sat down together and they began to study in order to be ready to present their report at the change of the millennium. They wanted to have something ready so that at the beginning of the new millennium, the 2000s, humanity, the world, could understand, what is humanity doing to the planet, all of humanity. And they took a very long view. What's been happening over the last 1,000 years or 2,000 years, not just a short-term view. So the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment Report is probably the most authoritative, most respected compilation of independent, rigorously researched data about human impact on the natural world. And I need to show you this data, but it's troubling. And if you ever were worried about what we're doing to nature, you're going to be even more worried when you leave this class. But at the same time, I want to say before I present this, that by talking about these things and also by showing you one or two people at the end who represent this newer generation, and you're a part of this, of people who are not afraid to face this and deal with this and do something about this. And it has to start, though, with an understanding of what we're doing and this thing called human progress. So I want to start first with a, a graph that was done by the researchers. And this is part of the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment Report. And for those of you online, I can't make this full screen, but you can, hopefully you can see this on the big board. If you can make your image that you're looking at landscape and you're on a laptop, but if you're on your phone, you may not be able to see this data. So I will talk you through it, okay? But for everybody here, you can see this. I want you to take a look at this because this is a fascinating overview of human progress right here. And let me just first explain, okay? It's called global or world GDP, world gross domestic product, world GDP. Well, what is GDP? Let me just first explain. It's an economic term that you need to understand. When we talk about a country's economic power, Canada, the United States, or China, or South Africa, or wherever, we often talk about GDP. What's the country's GDP? GDP is production. Essentially, it means what has that country produced in terms of goods and services? Goods would be all the stuff in this room is goods, okay? What I'm doing right now is a service, teaching. Goods and services is how we measure economic strength. If a country is not producing many goods or many services, it's poor. If a country's producing a lot, it's much better off. So we look at production as a sign of economic power. Well, what these researchers did is they actually broadened that to look at the world GDP over an extended period of time. What is humanity producing as a whole on planet Earth? What is human civilization producing? So here's how this works. If you look at this, you will see that on the horizontal plane of this, we have centuries. So we go back to 500 AD, 700 AD, and we're using the Christian calendar. Anno Domini means the year of Jesus, year of Jesus. He came that year. That's the calendar we use. So 500 AD, 700 AD, 900 AD, 1100 AD, 13. That's all the time frame, going all the way up until 2100. Then on the vertical side, that's a measurement of the value of what humanity was producing, goods and services as a whole. Now, let's take a look at this because you may never have seen so dramatically the productive power and how much stuff we humans have started to produce recently, which is leading to a destabilization of the natural world. So let's take a look. 500, 700, 900, 1100, 1300, 1500. You know, it's relatively stable. 1700. The Industrial Revolution begins, and then 1900. 1900. That's just about 100 years ago. We see what's called the Great Acceleration. Massive amount of stuff is being produced by the human race. $1 trillion worth in 1900. And then in 1967, $10 trillion worth. And then in 2003, $52 trillion worth of stuff, meaning clothes, computers, machines, anything that you purchase, anything that you wear, anything you put in your stomach, this is human civilization. We have been producing an accelerated amount of things in a very short period of time, largely as a result of the Industrial Revolution, in which mass production began. We started to use fossil fuels to drive our machines. Essentially, we have a huge amount of stuff that we are producing on planet Earth. Now, this is hugely important because what it means is we have to ask ourselves, look at the trajectory. The 20th century, we're shooting up in terms of production, of making things more and more. Can we sustain that? If you look at the last hundreds of years, we were not producing it anywhere near the level of things. Just to give you a small example of what we're dealing with. Today, we have a food waste problem in the world. There are a lot of people in the world that don't have enough to eat, including even here in Oshawa now. Food banks and others and are experiencing a rise in numbers of people who are coming. You might think that the problem is that we aren't producing enough food. No, we're producing massive amounts. The problem is distribution. The problem is refrigeration to keep things fresh. It's not a production problem. We humans are producing way more than we need, but we're not getting it to the people who need it. And that's something else. Maybe Andrew can help us in terms of supply chains or whatever, but that's a whole political problem. And it's, in some ways, we just saw a strikingly stark example of this week when the United States completely canceled its US aid program. Historically, it has had a program, it's called USAID, AID, where it would send surplus and other items to the rest of the world, to people who needed those things. In this new administration, driven not by Donald, but Elon Musk, everyone's favorite nerd, he's walked into his new position at the Government of Efficiency in the United States, called DOGE, a Department of Governmental Efficiency. He shut this down, USAID, completely. The US has decided it doesn't want to give anything to anybody anymore. No way. Well, actually, they might want to rethink that, because they consume the most of all the people in the world, and maybe they should think again about how they distribute food to others. But it's not just an American problem, it's a problem everywhere. We're not getting the food to the people who need it because we are not properly distributing it for political reasons. We haven't developed the refrigeration systems to keep food fresh. All sorts of other reasons. My point is that humanity has way too much stuff. Now, that would be considered my opinion if I didn't have some data to back this up. But I have some data to back up the fact that the more stuff we produce, the more garbage we create, and the more pollution we create for the natural world. This is the problem. Let's start with what the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment said about habitat loss, that when we look at the forests of the world and other parts of the world that we have been exploiting, whether it's lumber or whether it's water or whether it's minerals that we take out of the earth, we are beginning to affect those ecosystems to the point where we begin to lose over time a resource that we thought would go on endlessly, like a forest. Well, you can't just keep cutting trees down to make paper without thinking about whether those trees can be replaced. And if you can't replace those trees and grow those trees, eventually you're going to lose a forest, and it's irreversible. Now, this is just the beginning of some important data, but I should remind you that it is in our very essence as humans to exploit the natural world for our growth. 15,000 years ago on planet Earth, and in North America in particular, you would have seen maybe 2 or 3 million early humans, hunters, and you would have seen huge animals, huge sloths, saber-toothed tigers, if you can believe it, in North America, saber-toothed tigers, large horses, mastodons even, and others. You have to ask yourself, where did they go? It's called the megafaunal extinction. Mega, large, fauna, animals, we killed them all with superior hunting skills. See, this is what we do. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but we have to understand it. Is that we, in order to grow, we kill a lot of things. And we've destroyed a lot of things. The problem is we thought it was okay, that the world is limitless, that somehow it can just replenish itself. We know better now. Here's the critical piece of information that you are somewhat aware of, which is the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, let's take a look. 1954, we have about 300 parts per million of CO2, carbon dioxide. But as it goes up, 1969, 1983, 98, 2012, we see that the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, this is burning, this is climate change right here, is caused by us. Now, I need to say this not because I don't trust your intelligence. I trust everybody's intelligence here. It's because there's an enormous amount of pseudoscience that is presented as real science in the virtual world today. And I'm trying to help you deal with real science and real information. Let's try to understand something about the world's climate, just really, really simply. Okay? Climate change is natural in the world. As a matter of fact, 10,000 years ago to 15,000 years ago, when we were just starting to occupy this part of the world, killing the big game, we were also dealing with a lot of ice here, up to 2 kilometers high. Humans were dealing with ice that they had to walk through or around in North America. But we figured out how to do it because we were smart. There was a melting of that ice. That was not caused by us. There have been ice ages that have come and gone on the planet, and it's normal, geologically speaking, for the climate to change. When you start to look at the planetary view, it's absolutely normal. The difference is that we humans have accelerated this process. So usually these geological changes have happened over hundreds and sometimes thousands of years. Now they happen over decades because of us. And here's an example. Here's an example. Carbon dioxide. It's a normal part of the way nature works. We exhale carbon dioxide, we inhale oxygen. And we need carbon dioxide, absolutely. In the Industrial Revolution, 200 years ago, 250 years ago, we humans figured out, oh, all that dead stuff, vegetation that gets all gooey in the crust of the earth, petroleum. We figured out we could extract that, figured out how to do that. Nobody had figured that out yet, quite like this. Then, on top of that, we figured out, well, if we burn that, we get this powerful thing that can drive our machines by burning the oil. That's what happens in your car. You put oil in it, and the machine is burning that oil, and it's driving the engine. And of course, that oil that we were taking out of the planet also can be processed into all sorts of other things, like toothpaste, How about plastics? Film? In the old days of film, before there was video, all that plastic is made from oil. That's what all those refineries do in the United States, to take our oil from the Alberta tar sands and ship it down there. They refine it into products that are sold to Americans. And the Americans rely on our oil, mostly. So when we learned how to burn the oil in our machines, something happened. And I think you know what that is. We started to put, as a byproduct of that process, more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere from the burning of fossil fuels, from the burning of the oil. And all that carbon dioxide that was never there before, never there before, was being put there at this rate, rising and rising and rising. More people have cars, more people are using the fossil fuels, burning the fossil fuels around the world. And as you know, that carbon dioxide, when it's in there in the atmosphere at that amount, it just sits up there, creates this greenhouse effect. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits there. Like when you walk into a greenhouse, you know, when it gets warm and where's everything going? That's what's happening. The carbon dioxide that we've created is sitting in the atmosphere. Well, the rest is a kind of clear historical explanation, which is all that excess carbon dioxide, we didn't realize until recently that that's going to have an impact on the natural world. And of course, the result is global warming. Does this all make sense? And you've probably heard this before, but I want to make sure. Just to remind ourselves about this idea of global warming, take a look at what these guys figured out at the end of the 20th century. Look at how the global surface temperature has been rising over these centuries. Sometimes it goes up, a little bit down, but the trajectory is generally up. 1860, 1880, 1900, 1920, and then in this incredible century, the 20th century, look at how the temperature is rising and rising and rising. That's not caused by God or the gods or anything else. Caused by us. It's called anthropogenic change caused by humans. This is not pseudoscience. This is real. We've started to see in the news a lot of extreme weather. As you know, California has just dealt with its wildfires, and on a scale that it has never dealt with before. Well, this was predicted and was seen by scientists in the 1990s and was already happening then, that we're going to start to see more extreme weather events as a result of the warming of the planet. This, unless we make changes, will continue. And in your lifetime and your children's and your grandchildren, it's only going to get, I don't want to say worse, but I do, because that's the truth. It's only going to get more unless we figure out what to do about this idea. We're in a period that's called the Great Acceleration. Of so many things are rising, and you will see how, if you look at a chart like this, in so many aspects of our lives through the 20th century, we have seen so much consumption, so much production, and so much new waste. And this is an issue for us. Now, I just want to stop for a moment and kind of collect my thoughts to some extent, because I didn't have a chance to go through this as quickly as I wanted before class. So I want to make sure I'm on track with everything here. Yes, good. Let's take a look at the key summary of the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. Humans have radically altered ecosystems in the last 50 years. Changes have brought gains, but at growing costs that threaten achievement of development goals. Degradation of ecosystems could grow worse, but can be reversed. Workable solutions will require significant changes in policy. I'm going to move on briefly to the more positive part, and then we'll have a little activity. I first want to make sure that all of you understand something about what I've just shown you in a very introductory way. We are the beneficiaries of a boom in production through the 20th century, essentially, most importantly, that has given us so many things. Even the rapid development of something like artificial intelligence now is just another sign of how fast things are changing, how much we're inventing. That's all good. But we need to think about balance. We need to think about how are we going to deal with this growth? How are we going to continue to enjoy what we have when we know this can't go on forever? Do we delay this and push it to the next generations? Do we do something in our lives? But what can we do? It seems so overwhelming. It seems like it's somebody else's problem, not ours. It's too big. And, anyways, what can one person do? Well, actually, one person can do quite a bit. You'd be surprised. And I'm going to tell you about one. Just to give you an idea that we all are capable of doing something. And if we all do something, maybe something bigger can happen. Have any of you ever heard of the Canadian photographer Edward Bertinsky and a movie called Manufactured Landscapes, a documentary about his work that's received a lot of attention? He's probably our most celebrated international photographer. He's still alive, producing some great work, and his mission has been, as an artist, photographer, to show people visually what we humans are doing to the planet. Because it's one thing to talk about these things in terms of showing you the data of our impact on nature, but it's another thing to be able to get a visual idea of what's happening to the planet. Like, are we actually changing the way the planet looks? And well, that's what he's been trying to do, is he's trying to show what's happening. And I'm going to show you some of his work. For instance, this is just a picture of an oil field, of oil derricks, removing petroleum from the ground to be processed eventually into the things that we need. In the last 40 years, he's been doing this kind of large scale work where these images that he shoots will appear on a whole wall. Imagine you walk into a room, a gallery, and you're looking at this image, massive scale. So you can get a sense of this kind of planetary scale and get a sense of the human impact on the planet. And he was using drone-like machines earlier than most photographers, and was spending, in his early days, many weeks he would spend trying to find the right angle, the right place where he could shoot something so you could see the scale of our impact on the planet. This is a famous picture. This is a nickel mining debris from a plant, I believe, in Sudbury, if I remember this correctly. He wanted to show to humanity, well, this is what's coming from the production of nickel. This is the garbage that is going into a river. Take a look at this, because this is happening in many parts of the world. And he would do this in a way where when you walk into the gallery, it's huge. So you're really beginning to get a sense of, we humans are potentially scarring the earth Here is an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico that had a big catastrophe. The pipes underneath burst, and the oil got into the water around the Gulf of Mexico and seeped in there. And he was trying to find an angle so you could see just how it really looks when the water gets so dark from oil. And that oil remains there for a long period of time. It washes up to shore and will eventually start to kill the animals all in that area. He's been trying to show us that we're pushing nature back. And we're coming in and we're doing it with human civilization. And he wants us to think about a question. Do we want nature anymore, or do we just want what humans create? Would we rather go for a drive in our new car really fast instead of a walk in the forest? Would we rather eat out at McDonald's or Burger King or A&W, even when we have the money to buy food and make something for ourselves? Do we want processed things for us? Do we want manufactured things for us that might be cheaper and more convenient? But the result is, are we ready for what we're going to lose? This may not seem like such a difficult question if we weren't also facing this now with something like DeepSeek, a new app, a new chat GPT platform. If we weren't dealing with things like robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnologies, and so many other things that we humans have created that are making us question what's human anymore? What's natural? What's biological? Don't we want the natural things? And if we do, maybe we have to think about the cost of making so many things that involves extracting things from the planet, creating waste that is destabilizing nature. Do we care about being human? Or would we rather create a different kind of world? Human and machine. Or maybe just all machine, and move the humans aside. But he's constantly, in his work, he has been trying to help us to understand in the way that he shoots something, that he can tell us the world is being affected by humans. And just one final thing I would say, and then we'll do a little activity. How many of you have seen the movie The Brutalist here? It's out now. It's up for all sorts of Academy Awards. It's not a very good movie, in my estimation, but it's up for a lot of Academy Awards. There's a wonderful scene, though, near the end that takes place in a marble quarry in Italy. It's a famous quarry where Michelangelo, the great Italian sculptor, do you know about the David, the famous Michelangelo sculpture in Italy that was made out of marble by the great Italian sculptor of the Renaissance? Leonardo da Vinci, for example, you might have heard. These are some great artists in human history. Michelangelo, in the making of his David, went to this very quarry in Italy to get his marble. And he dragged the marble back and he carved out of the marble this beautiful image of the David that you can see in Florence, which is in Italy, and highly recommended place to visit. Florence, Venice, many cities in Italy. In The Brutalist, we see a scene a r in that very same marble quarry, but it looks like it's been wrecked by humans. They've come in and taken all this marble, all this beautiful marble. And there's not that much marble, naturally, that's made in the world. But we humans have taken most of it. And the movie presents a picture of, well, if humans have taken all of this, aren't we potentially destroying something that's beautiful? And what are we using that marble for? Well, there are things we've used it for, not just for art, but the Romans took so much, and so did the Greeks as well, to build their great buildings that made them empires. Marble has been so important as a very rich mineral that looks beautiful in columns and other buildings of ancient history. But the question is, if we are going to continue to create all of these things that we need for our world, are we ready for the cost? Are we ready for the cost? Then what do we do? Well, that's what I'm going to ask all of you to think about right now. We're going to do it together. What do we do? Nothing? Something? But then what is that something if we accept that there's an issue here? So let me just stop for the moment and remind you of all of these important people, because right now we're going to do something positive. We're all going to be sort of like Ed Bertinsky. We're not going to be photographers, but we're going to be people who care about dealing with a problem. And in his work as a photographer, he's trying to show us this. Well, let's see what we could do together. Some ideas. And it is 10 after 3. I think it's that time of day where we all need a little bit of caffeine. We humans are weak. We need stimulants. So I'm only going to ask you to get on your feet in a moment, and we're going to do an activity together at the pods, okay? So before we do that, does anyone have any questions? And in the live chat, if you would like to jump onto your microphones, go ahead. But let's just make sure we understood what I just presented, and then we're going to have a little fun together at the boards. Okay, so let me make sure I have this straight. I'm going to come around and help you turn on these pods as well, because Maureen isn't here. So we're going to take this slowly. I don't want to over tech and get tech stress, but we have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Good. So I'm going to say that the three of you like to be together. I mean, yeah. And I'm going to put you apart today. Is that okay? Yeah. Is it okay if I split you up for? No, because you'll be so creative that way, and you just gotta. Okay. So there you go. You're team 1. Okay, that's going to be your board over there. All right. I'll come over there in a second. All right. So you're together, and we'll just make this really simple. We've lost all the non-testosterone. It's all male now. This scares me. All the female have gone up, but it's okay. Stay together. You'll have good time. So, okay, Beirut and Luke and Andrew, could you go over to the second one? And Andrew, here you go. Okay, so let's do a little getting up on the feet. That's going to be you. Could the three of you go over to that one in the corner, just here, okay? And then finally, the 4 of you over there. That's one with Giovanni, okay? And just stand there, and I'm going to come over and here. Hold on. Did you get your pen? Beirut, your group has for the third one. You have, okay? Here's the fourth one, okay? 80. Adeo. Nice. Adeo. Okay, so that's Adeo, Giovanni, Jake, and Ustav. Ustav. Great. Okay. Whoops. I got to hold my microphone here properly. Okay, so we're getting our teams going for everybody online. Now, I have to help move this process along. So now you will see. Yeah, good. You've got your thing there. So hold on. And then I'll bring this up here so you can have this is from another class, but I'm going to bring this here for you and we'll do this. Okay. So you can just rub that off. Just rub whatever's there. And that's going to be yours. You just rub it with your lovely. Okay. And then hopefully this is working. And I shall come over and see it should be. Yeah, okay, so let's bring up, okay, there you go. There's yours. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to actually change this up a little bit. I'm going to try something. I'm going to experiment. What do you think you need to be thinking through together? I'm going to ask you what all of you need. And let's just do this orally. You don't need to write this down, okay? Just quickly. Beirut, what do you think we need to be thinking through together? Right now, we're going to think something through together. And you're going to be making notes. Is there a question we need to answer, some problem? But what do you think, based on what we just did there with the lecture, that you would like to think through? Because that's what you're going to do together. We're going to think something through together. What should it be? What path we should take? Lovely. Could you write that down? Team 2, what path we should take? Is everybody good with that as a question, or would you like to add to that? Team 1, what path should we take? Raylan or Kurt or Laura Lai? You start with that, okay? Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, what path should we take? Okay? Team 4, what path should we take? Yeah. What path should we take? I like that. And if you could just spend, 10 minutes or so, just maybe 15, putting a few notes down that we can work with. And then I'm going to be collecting all of this, and this will be posted online, and we'll make some good notes, and we can review this next week. I want you to think hard about Beirut's question. What path should we take? Please go ahead. You can start now. And for those of you in the cosmos, Yukta, Manish, Josh and Deep, I think it is Edith. I'd like you all to address the same question. So let me just check and see right now. I'm going to ask you. In the live chat, let's see who's fastest on the keyboard. What is the question I would like you to answer in the live chat? Somebody is listening and somebody's going to be fast. Please write in the live chat. What's the question? Go ahead. Let's see who comes up first. Yukta. Nice. Let me get my glasses and hold on a second. We start with everyday life instead of waiting for government, any big bodies to do something about it. Okay, Yukta, what's the question? First, good. That's a good answer. But what's the question? What question are we trying to answer? It's Beirut's question. Yeah, exactly. In fact, Yukta, we can make that singular. What path should we take? But if you want to do what paths, plural, feel free, okay? But the question is what path? But you can choose path. But we do want to keep this as simple as possible. So that's why I'm thinking just one path. What's the best path to take? Okay, great. So thank you, Yukta. So for all of you, Kashan, Alina, and Arshdeep, and others, please answer that question as best you can in the live chat. And give it some thought before you start putting anything in the live chat. I'd like to see complete thoughts, okay? Not half complete or bits and pieces, but full thoughts, full sentences. Thanks. Okay. Good. We got stuff going here. What path should we take? And I have microphones here. So that is what everybody is doing now. And I'm going to try, for those of you watching the recording later who are unable to do the activity, this one, but you're still with us, I want to show you some things in this room. So let's see if the camera controls are going to work properly. So I'm going to put Ed aside for now. So now I can see the self view. And I'm going to see over here. Yeah, there we go. So we see Raylyn and we see Lorelei. And they're writing, that's team one. Okay, that's team one. They're writing there. And let's see what happens on YouTube if it's working. Oh yeah, that's not live. So I'm just going to take a look. Great. Yeah, and it's YouTube, it's looking good. It's the right way. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm gonna tilt. You can see, just by the way, if you want to see what they're seeing in the cosmos, it's there, that screen. But I'm gonna now pan over and we're gonna see Beirut. There's Luke, and Luke is smiling. Uh-oh. Wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm panning. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Just a second. There we go. There we go. Look at this one. That's Beirut, the mind of Beirut. Yeah, there we go. Nice, 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 nice. That's Beirut. He's the one who had the question. Thank you. Beirut, you can see that's what they're seeing now. Okay, so I'm just having fun with the camera. Go ahead. And I'm going to move the camera over, and he's with Andrew. He and Andrew are working on this. I'm doing play-by-play. This is Hockey Night in Canada, and I'm doing the play-by-play, okay? The puck is moving, the camera, so now we're going to go. Just a second. Here we go, play-by-play. Let's see what the play-by, who's this? Uh-oh, who's this? We're going to play-by-play. There we go. Okay, you see? Good, so there's, it's kind of working with this damn pan. There we go. Okay, gentlemen, they're at work now. I'm going to take the camera way over here. I don't know if it's going to, yeah, it's going to go this way because everything's counterintuitive, right? Counterintuitive. Is it going the right way? Oh, yeah, it won't give me that. So we're going to come back to them. Yeah, and then we'll come back to me. Okay, so here you are. So I'm just playing with tilts and pans and zooms, but there's a little bit of method in this madness, which is I'd like you to see if you can connect with your fellow classmates. They're hard at work here. Yeah. Okay. Here. Oh, we're live. We're live here. So hold on. I'm going to shut my microphone so the student here can ask me a question. Excellent. Okay, so we're back, and I want to get a view of the group over there, and that would be Ustav, and that would be Adeo, and Giovanni and Jacob, and they're working. They're doing something. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something. Okay. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Oh, did I say Jacob? Sorry, Jake. Jake, my head can only handle so many names. I'm sorry, but I got part of it right. Jake, of course. Okay, so let me see if I can get the camera angle here that I wanted to with these guys. I can do the presets, but I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm not sure this is going to work. If I do a different ceiling camera, will it give me? Oh, it does. Okay, okay. So I'm going to zoom out there, and then I'm going to tilt it over. I'm going to pan it over here. Here goes the puck. Here goes, oh, no, 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 wrong. The problem is that whoever is passing the puck here, they don't know how to stick handle. So as soon as they make a pass, oh, damn, the puck goes all over the place. It just, they got to keep the puck on the ice. Every time I pass the goddamn puck to me, I'm like, I got to pull the puck out of the air. Oh, here we go. Come on, come on, come on. What's this? Yeah, we're almost there. Jake and Giovanni. We're going over there. Oh, here we go. Just a second. Look at that. There's Jake. There's Giovanni. Everybody. There's Ustav, and there's Adiel. We're not going to ask. The most obvious question is: are Jake and Giovanni actually researching, or are they dealing with a tech thing, which is they're somewhere else in the tech world? Are you doing the work? Way to go! Brilliant. They I'm I'm just being cynical professor here for a second. Way to go! No, they're doing the work. They're doing the work. Fair enough. They are not so addicted to their machines that they're off in another website somewhere. They're actually focused. Lovely. Okay. Good. So 5 more minutes. Keep working on it. I'm just having a whale of a time with this, and I'm going to come back here and see what's happening on the live chat. Our preset's not working again. Interesting. What happened to our preset? Oh, I know why. Wrong camera. There we go. There we go. I'm back. I'm back. So nobody has to worry. The camera's over here. Now, I'm still at the podium, and I'm looking at the live chat. And this is good. Okay, so we've got Yukta. Manish, where are you? Are you thinking about this, or have you disappeared to another part of your planet? No. Manish, what question did I ask you to answer? Do you remember? Mm-hmm. Paths of knowledge and truth. Go techless instead of being greedy because radiation is also playing. Okay. Yukta. Yeah. That's going to be absolutely impossible to go techless unless you want to move to, I don't know, the wilderness in northern Ontario and live in a cabin by yourself and have no tech. You can reduce the use. But the question is, Yukta, it's really about waste, and it's really about the impact of the technology on us. If you can minimize the impact but still continue to use the tech, that's the best of both worlds, but it's very difficult. For example, do you recycle, Yukta, at home? Your organic waste? Do you take your orange peels? You do? Okay, excellent. Do you take all the cartons and boxes and paper and yeah, okay, so you're doing your bit. That's the first thing. But we've got some good stuff going here. I would put up team twos up here, but I can't get theirs on the board. I'll try just a second and see, but for some reason that has not been working today. But I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to see if I can actually bring up another pod here. Another pod. Let's see what happens. Nope. Won't do it. Won't do it. Oh, is that because of this? No. No, 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 no. No. Come on, student pod 3. Try student pod 5. Okay. Will it do it? No. Doesn't want to do it. What about student pod 2? Nope. It just only wants to do student pod 1. Right? That's the problem. Yeah. Okay. It's all you guys. It's all team 1 up here. I can't get the others for some screw up reason, but anyways, 2 more minutes, then we're going to take this up together, and I will then collect all the notes and the live chat. What path should we be taking? You've just heard me say, Manish, in the lecture, that we humans collectively on planet Earth are affecting the natural world. We're causing a lot more waste to go into the air through carbon dioxide, I didn't talk even about the water, the world, and more plastics that we're finding. Too big. Okay. Fair enough. Manish, did you follow at all the wildfires in California recently? Did you see that on the news? And did that look pretty massive, those wildfires, in terms of how fast they were moving and how quickly they were destroying people's homes? Did you ever ask yourself, why did that happen? Or did you just think, that's just the way the world works? Did you ask yourself at any point, why is the fire lasting so long and moving so fast and burning down so many homes and causing so much suffering in California? How about 2 years before that? Yeah, and Australia has had the same. We've had it in Canada too, in British Columbia. What? We've got a teachable moment here, so I think I just heard something really cool. So I'm not going to tell anybody what I just heard. I'm just going to give that person a microphone to get ready to tell us what's going on. I like this when something comes out of a student that makes the class a lot more interesting. Just get ready to tell us, Luke, okay? But the microphone's off, okay? Great. So now we're going to have, in a moment, if anybody wondered about how this affects us, ooh, get ready. I think we should probably take this up so we have enough time, and I want to give our student Luke a little chance to speak because as I say, I love when this stuff happens. So, okay. Here we go. We're going to take this up, and I'm going to stay here for the moment, and I'm not going to try and make anything too fancy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make these guys even more uncomfortable. There we go. So if you could just imagine if the tech were really working properly, you would see not just team 1 up there, but you'd see team 2 and you'd see team 3, but we're having an issue, tech. But so let's make sure Luke has the microphone over there. We'll give Giovanni one over here. And I'd like to start with Luke. Luke has been generous enough to just offer some information out of the microphone's range, but now he's going to walk over here into the camera. Luke, do you want to come over here and get on your feet? And Luke is going to help us understand something about fire. And, well, is the microphone on? You can stand anywhere you feel most comfortable. That's the camera, okay, the black one, but Luke, you're talking to the whole class, okay? Karaoke, like this, so they can hear you.
Just like this?
Yep, just like that, okay? And let's see if it's on. Yeah, good. Okay, so Luke, could you just tell the class a little bit more about what you just told me?
I worked the BC wildfire crew for 2 summers, 2 seasons.
Wow.
It was a pretty interesting experience, scary to say the least for the most part.
And can you tell us more about these fires in British Columbia? We're not talking California now. We're talking how long ago?
2 summers. So
Two-
1 summer and the summer before.
2 summers. Wow. And why were these wildfires happening in British Columbia?
Like there were many reasons. Some just go into what's called spontaneous combustion. Like sun rays can heat up trees and grub to the
Yes.
point where they just poof and fire starts.
Sure.
It gets so hot. And then sometimes like Alberta, same thing will happen over there, and then smoke and ashes will drift over to BC.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fires will start from the ashes that come from Alberta. Kind of like what's happening with Utah and California. California, their fires transfer over to Utah through like the smoke and the ashes and the heat that's happening in California.
Wow. Can everybody hear Luke okay? Guys in the live chat, or should just hold your microphone right to your mouth a little bit, because I'm worried that they may not hear you, okay, in the recording. Um, do we know exactly why these wildfires were happening in British Columbia? Can we say that there was a human connection?
I mean, like for the most part, yeah. Like
For the most part, yeah.
obviously, like some natural disasters is something that some stuff like we can't control, but there is a lot of stuff that we can control that we just don't in the terms of like cars and driving in places that you shouldn't be driving, and then people having fires and restricted zones and all that fun stuff.
And also the fact that in California and in British Columbia, they'd suffered droughts, unusual droughts for long periods, so the land was really dry. The trees were really dry, and that's partly what happened in California too. Is that an ember? Imagine just like an ember. This is my understanding. Just a tiny ember. It flies somewhere else, but because somewhere else is so dry, it's just as soon as it hits that other place, a fire starts again. And so all these embers are flying all over the place, and they're hitting all sorts of dry area. And the reason these areas are dry is because they haven't had precipitation or rainfall, and that's because their climate has been destabilized by global warming. Did you at any point worry that you might be injured or you could even lose your life?
I mean, like, yeah, you go into a fire and you're there for 2-3 weeks at a time. You camp out and then you hike 5 kilometers a day, 5 miles a day. You're always tired. Like there's always a risk of injury with the fatigue that you build over 2 weeks of nothing.
Yeah.
So there's always the risk, but like in BC we're all trained pretty well. So when it comes to what we know, we're all pretty good at it.
How close did you get to the fire?
I was in it.
You're right in it.
Yeah, I was in attack crew.
So what does that mean?
So like we would go into the big fires that were big concern, like moving in towards cities and rural areas.
Yes.
And we just fight the fire. We try to keep it from progressing. So we dig shrub, cut trees. If there was water sources, we'd use water, but that's not always feasible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like we were an attack crew. Mainly prevention, trying not to get it to move, but if you were able to like put something out, we would.
Attack route, you call it.
Yeah,
An attack route.
there's a different name for it, but the people that are in it, we're all kind of stupid, so we use it.
Does anyone have any questions for Luke, who is a human fighting Mother Nature? And the reason Mother Nature is burning like that is in part because of humans. So did you get Mother Nature under control?
No. There's not much you can do. Like you can prevent it, but you kind of have to let it burn.
Wow. Well, let's see online if there's anything here, and then we'll let Luke go, because we got someone probably light something on fire or something. Yes, someone did. Well, that's not true, right? Like Keyshawn saying someone. I know we're having a little fun here, but I want to make sure that we apply critical thinking. I'm concerned that there's some sort of pseudo stuff going on here. It's not real information. It's just people saying stuff online, but people start to believe it. So what are you saying? Someone probably lights something on fire or something, and then yeah, someone did. Keyshawn, how do you think the fire started? What do you think? Let's see what comes into the live chat in a moment. Can you get on your microphone and tell us? Okay, we'll let him think about it. Can we give Luke a hand for? Thank you. You know, and kind of hold this. Thank you. Okay, we need to take 5 minutes to review this. We can't do everybody, but I'm going to save all of these. We've heard from Luke, not quite about the group, but why don't you take the microphone and give the microphone to Andrew or Beiruz? And could you, Andrew, go ahead and tell us.
Natasha one, Natasha
Right?
two. Okay, so in regards to the question, we thought that there were 3 paths that we can take.
Yes.
One that focuses on humanity, one that focuses mainly on the planet, and one that focuses on both.
Yep.
And to go to all three of them, you have my colleague here.
Great. And I'm on you right now. I'm just zooming out. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead. Keep Beirut, and I'll show you on the board.
Right. So my team has kind of leaned towards the for the planet because I think that's the one we should look more into. But we'll also compare it with the other two for each point. So for planet, there will be many natural resources available. That is if it's replenished, because right now we only have a decent amount
Yes.
or like limited amounts. But it's more going towards the humanity route instead of the both right now. And then if it was for a planet, most of the biodiversity, not all, but most will be kept because as humans, we still have a place in this earth somewhere.
Yep.
But right now we're at a point where it's like only a fair amount of biodiversity, but it's starting to go to the limited diversity.
Excellent. Beirut, by the way, I just want you to know, if you look at that camera there, you look up here, you're teaching the rest of the world now about sustainability. This is good. This is what we do in the global classroom. We help the world understand how to deal with the world. So keep going.
So currently, as I said, we're at this sort of category where we're at a developing society that's going towards an advanced yet controlled society. But if it was for the planet, we would have much of a little hierarchy or societies, I guess.
Yes.
Could it be tribal? Could it be coexisting with nature, perhaps? Or would it be nomadic?
Would this help with sustainability if we were going in that direction?
Well, this is the part where I'm gonna get to the agriculture, and which kind of ties in with natural resources. So our present agriculture is pretty much monoculture.
Yes.
Which through research it has been shown to be quite
Degrading.
yeah,
Monoculture. When you just use your farmland for one thing only, you just grow. Eventually, the soil gets degraded.
yeah,
Correct, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So with the four planet approach, where we take a hunter gatherer approach,
Yes. Yes.
possibly, then like that's where like every resource is kind of mixed, but in its own natural place,
Yes. Yeah.
while also benefiting each other. So it could produce more and also produce for us. Um,
Excellent. So a four-planet approach instead of a four-human approach. A four-planet
focus on
approach.
that a bit more.
Andrew, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
What we're saying is that for in recent history, we've been going towards humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's time we need to course correct and maybe consider the planet more when we're dealing with our resources, our shelter, housing, use replenishable resources where that is concerned. It's been too much going in the other direction. So
Yeah.
we need to course correct.
And does that bother you? You, somebody who are going to the business world and supply chains, don't you want to remain on the for humanity route? There's more money that way, isn't there, for you in supply chains?
Yes, but in terms of the planet, we want to have the planet here forever. I want to have it in a good state. So we need to apply sustainable measures
Yeah.
in our decision making.
Yeah. And is there something you can be doing in your own life, like in your own career, that, at least do your part instead of thinking it's so big, can't do anything? Maybe there's something you can be doing, or what do you think?
I know in supply chain in terms of the procurement process, there's an aspect of it where we're sourcing, where we're purchasing from companies that
Yeah.
source their materials and stuff from replenishable sources. So that's a big thing right now in supply chain world.
Replenishable sources.
Yeah.
That's a great term. Replenishable
It's all
sources.
it's all tied into with supply chain ethics, right? In terms of we putting the planet first and sustainability. So
Yeah.
those decisions are becoming more everyday for us right now in the industry. So we want to continue that.
Sounds good. We only have a few minutes left, and I want to see if I can give everybody a chance. I may not be able to, but let's try, okay? Quickly, and I'll play with the camera and bring the next. We'll go since we're close to team one, and then I'm going to fly over here to you guys, and then back here. But let's try team one Team one first? Yeah. Oh, you got it. Okay. No, go team three. You got the microphone? Go. You got it. Go for it, team three, team one, and then we'll. Here we go. So keep going. I'm gonna play with this a little. Team three. Yeah. Here we go. Come on. Can you? Yep. Okay. Well, that's because I'm on YouTube. Keep going. I'm gonna just yeah. There's the wrong way. You go ahead. Yep.
All right. So our team chose to focus more so on a nature, more ecological path, really. So
Yes.
first thing that we say we should do to get on this path is number one, we need to start burning less oil. Not only because it pumps all sorts of nasty byproducts into the atmosphere and causes all sorts of damage to the environment,
Yes.
also because we can't just be focusing and relying on oil all the time, because
Hold the microphone to your mouth, okay? Just so we can and make sure. Yeah. Keep going. Yep.
we can't always be relying on oil all the time, because like that's limited. Like that's not always going to be around. There will be a day where
That's true.
more oil.
So, what are we going to replace oil with?
By the time we run out, hopefully more green energies like solar, wind energy,
Ooh.
and maybe even just as a bridge to get to there, we can invest a little bit more into nuclear, because
Yes.
even still, I don't know, nuclear is a whole other can of worms, but it makes a good bridge to
Yeah.
get to these much cleaner.
It's when you mention bridge, it's very good because some say we're living in a time of transition, a transition economy. We're transitioning from the fossil fuel economy to a greener economy, and it's going to take some time. So we're bridging. We're living on the bridge right now, if you will. That's great. Okay, I'd like to get more, but I want to make sure we have time to check in with everybody. Okay, do you have a microphone, Giovanni? Yeah, go ahead, and then we're going to fly back to you guys, and we'll do one at the end. Okay, so go ahead, and I'm going to bring this counterintuitive damn thing here over here, and I think it's we're going to get dizzy, but okay, just start talking. As long as we can hear you, the picture will catch up.
All right. So our group went to the broader like idea. So like more patriotic, more accepting of others, punishments fitting the crime,
Ooh, yes,
you know, promote sustainability a lot more, better salaries, better distribution of products, because like what you were saying, like not everyone like can afford certain products, or like you say like earlier when you were like in the lecture, you're saying like products wasting and stuff, you know.
yes,
Like, for
yes.
instance, you know, distribute the products better so everyone like get a taste of everything.
What's the crime? You mentioned an environmental crime. Are you suggesting there are crimes that we need to prosecute more aggressively so we can maintain more sustainability?
Yeah.
What would you say is a crime? Just one example. Would you say is definitely a crime we should prosecute more? Go ahead, Gustav. Yeah.
So like releasing the industrial waste into the rivers.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a very good example.
Because that's happening a lot in India. So I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that one.
For sure. Try to remember what you've just said. I'd like to return to that in the review next week. Industrial waste in India in particular. It's a great example. I'll make a note after. I'm just going to zip over to team one, and you have a microphone.
Test.
Go ahead and tell us what you've got on the board there, and I'll bring this over. Go ahead.
Okay. So we started off by discussing production. So we said we should produce less and produce things that are more sustainable.
Yes.
And then we moved into more of a like personal aspect. So what can each individual do? And we were talking about stop purchasing from companies that produce garbage, quote unquote. And by that, we mean stuff that you don't necessarily need.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there like that these days that you don't necessarily need and like goes to waste, right? So
Okay, I'm going to say, just so we're running out of time, I'm going to ask you a really tough question at the end, but this will be fun to ask. I'm going to ask you to put some skin in the game, as we say. You're going to leave this room shortly. What's one thing that you could get rid of in your life that you don't need? That could be one small thing. Time for skin in the game. One thing. God, it's hard. I find it hard. One thing.
To be honest, I think a lot of energy goes into like this, like entertainment, and I think that honestly, I could probably go without a lot of like these forms of entertainment that I use, like video games and such. And like I could definitely put it into a lot more constructive things. So I think I would get rid of that if anything. Not that it creates like a specific kind of waste, but I think it's almost like a waste of like energy.
So to keep it realistic, I think it might be unrealistic to get rid of these things completely, but you could lower your usage.
Yes, absolutely.
Minimize and spend that time on more constructive things.
Exactly.
We're going to check in next week with you and see if you actually lived up to this. Okay, this is recorded. Okay, I got to let you go. Do you want to say something, Raylan? You're okay? Go ahead.
I can hold him accountable. We live together, so I will know.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, everybody, I have to let you go. People are coming in. I'll save everything in the live chat. Way to go. And next week, we're going to talk a lot about freedom and democracy. It's coming. Okay, good. Don't forget to sign the board. And I'm going to sign out here from the classroom. I'm going to shut my microphone off. So anybody in the live chat? Yep. Liberty. Liberty. You got it, Manish. Liberty next week. We got to fight for liberty. You bet. See you next week.